All right. Well, this is a beta test. Beta means it's an experiment. This is primarily on YouTube. It is Saturday, January 7th. Let me see if I can share this. Hold on. I'm trying to copy it. Copy. Let me see if I can um, paste it. All right, hold on 1 second. All right. Anyway, my name is Chris Anthony, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan, just north of it. If you ever heard of it, it's in the United States. It is 10:07 Eastern Standard Time in the PM, because I know that I have talked to many people from around the world, pretty much between 5 and 7 days a week since April or May. And I'm sharing this also on a few other things, Twitch, Facebook, whatever. But it's basically a trial and error, not just to use the software I've been using for the last couple of years, doing live streamcasts from my basement, and just to see how it sounds. This is the same microphone. I have a variety of microphones that I use for recording, voiceover in the back over there. That's a condenser mic. Here's a Shure 55, very, very well known. I've got some Audix 5s right here. They're comparable, if not better, than the SM58s, which I had a pair of. And this is, by the way, this is from Blue. They make microphones up to about $15,000+. There's the Neumann microphones, but this is the one Martin Sutton from the Songwriting Academy uses. And I've been using this. I have 3 of them. I have one upstairs in my other studio. I have these portable studios, and I've been, just to give you a little bit of background in the technical aspect, I'm using an M Audio Air 192/14 sound card. And before that, I was using the Akai sound card, which was at 16-bit. This is a 24, 8-channel. Oops, sorry about that. I'm trying to, in the background, I have a green screen, and I was trying to, let me see my settings. I was using, let's see, the virtual background. Let me get rid of that. The fade. All right. So I'm going to see if I can use that. Anyway, there's a green screen behind me. But I was saving it for bringing forward to do audio, video recordings. And I use Sony Vegas Pro, the latest versions. And so basically, I've technically removed, I was using this, in case you're wondering. In fact, I just sent this to the WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is a software that songwriters from the Songwriting Academy, based out of the United Kingdom, but from all over the world and all over the United States. And they use it as a secondary, not the primary way we communicate with songwriters, collaborators, artists, singers, you name it. And some are either pros in many different backgrounds. Some have no idea how to play an instrument. Some are world famous. Some have produced and recorded some of the biggest shows, concerts, Emmys, Grammys, from all over the world. And I take this very seriously. Now, having that said, again, the beta test factor is to get those people that are on WhatsApp, which is basically mostly texting. And then there's another feature out there called Clubhouse. It's an app where we can, communicate audio and text, but it doesn't show us our faces like Zoom does or Microsoft Teams. And in the Academy, we use Zoom. Now, I'm technically savvy for the most part. The only thing that minimizes or diminishes my capability is money. Because, I could have a $4,000 microphone. I could have a $20,000 board. And I've seen people with that have come on here. And the quality, it's all how you use the equipment. So you could have the best equipment in the world. It's like having snow skis. You could have a $12,000 pair of skis, but not know how to ski. Doesn't make you a better skier. So it's all about how to use it. Same thing with music. Some people don't know how to write. Some people don't know how to read music, but they have a natural gift of playing by ear or whatever. So that's kind of the direction I want to go into with the songwriting. Now, in fairness to some people that I took myself off of Facebook. I was, to give you a little background in history, and I don't want to get too dark into it, but I moved into this house that I rented back in February of 2017, 5 years ago, pretty much. And I was dealing with my kids. My ex-wife lived next door, so in a condo. So I came here and I set up my studio to do other things with my businesses. And I kind of stopped writing music that I had been doing for probably over 40 years. And I did reach out to people locally here in Detroit. And you think with Motown that I would be just overwhelmed with musicians. It's mostly bar musicians that play in the bars. Nothing wrong with that. But they've never charted on anything locally or nationally, nothing substantial. So I just kind of retired from that. But in the meantime, my son and my daughter came back, my two oldest out of the three. And my daughter was in college, my son was in high school, and he died 3 years ago, September, Labor Day weekend, 2019, right before his 17th birthday. So for 2 years, I had put up with a lot of things. And of course, COVID came. It's cold here in Michigan, like right now. And I came down here, and about a year ago, this past November, I decided to go to Nashville, Tennessee, which is about 500 miles south of me. And I had been to New York as a DJ many times since the early 80s, Florida, Chicago, Los Angeles, everywhere. And I kept coming back to Detroit, usually because of a girl. But anyway, plus it's where I'm from. And so then when this thing happened with COVID, and I started reaching out to people through Facebook. Now, Facebook is for 40 and over people, in case you're younger, and you're coming to WhatsApp. But I had reached out to a lot of people that were going through a plethora of things, nothing music related, just illness in the family, health issues, depression, pick something, name it. And it was people from all walks of life. Didn't matter what the reason was. And so it was kind of a going back and forth until it finally kind of wore out its welcome. But I do have a handful of people still left on the Facebook. I call it the Facebook. And I think that was the original name. But I decided when I reached out to a friend of mine who I met from Australia. He's originally from Miami, Florida and Los Angeles, but he ended up moving out to Sydney, Australia. In fact, he lives right on the water. You can see the bridge. It's beautiful where he lives. Kerry Furlong. And Kerry, if you come on here, that would be really cool. He's 14 hours ahead. So 10 p.m. Hey, hold on. Let me find out. Hey, Siri, what time is it in Sydney, Australia? Hold on.
In Sydney, Australia, it's 2:14
p.m. 2:14 p.m. So it is now Sunday afternoon. And so that's where he is. And so he encouraged me to join, and we talked, and we've been trying to collaborate. So I told him the last couple of days, I said, I have this website, danceparty.com. I've had it for 25 years. And I use this service called StreamYard, and I want to see if I can incorporate it and bring on singers, songwriters, poets, you name it, small, large, never ever accomplished anything or wrote anything, substantial. But because we have this network of people, and when I'm talking, there are some people that have 30, 40 plus years of writing for alternative artists, disco artists, classical, movies, TV shows. You think that you write like somebody that's like 70, 80 years old is antiquated. No, they're still writing music for, like I said, rap artists, dance singers, movies, commercials, TV shows, doing voiceovers, everything. The older you get, as long as you have lungs, you're breathing and your mind still works, it's probably one of the best things you can do as a person over 50, 60, 70s. You get older, because most people retired rich. They don't really do anything. They just spend their money and they go eat out, right? But one thing about a songwriter, And this is the most beautiful thing about a songwriter. Songwriters have written music for love, for hate, for dying, for anthems, sports, kingdoms, war marches, you name it, they've done it all. And so they are. I think there's a rat upstairs. There's noise coming from upstairs, but anyway, but they speak from the heart, and they never get less creative, even if the words don't come out right, even if the melody and the harmony isn't everybody's cup of tea. But what you learn about a songwriter doesn't have to appeal to the mass. In fact, it has to appeal to a very small segment. You may love the Rolling Stones. You may love Barry Manilow. You may love Bruno Mars. You may love, and they may have millions of fans, but that time that they have them isn't always 30, 40 years. Plus, it's not everybody doesn't love those artists, yet they have their own versions. So you learn a lot in the last couple of years, especially like I have as a DJ, working with radio stations, being a Billboard reporter. I found my Billboard when I got my Billboard reportership. This was for me back in 1994. Because I tell people that and they don't know what that is. It took me 6 years, maybe 7. I started in 1985, several years after I was, and I wanted to be a Billboard reporter as a DJ because they gave you free records and CDs and whatever else, plus perks, concert tickets, you name it. But it also gave you a gravitas of credibility. And at the time when I got it, I was considered one of the top DJs in the world because I was able to recognize hits by charting for years on my own and submitting it. They finally picked me. I was at the biggest club in Detroit after being at many from around not just Detroit area, but around the country. So what happened was I took that and I wanted to be part of the process of people that were famous or up and coming one-hit wonders, people that had catalogs of music. I was going to say categories, catalog. So it really didn't matter. That's how the music industry kind of works. And a lot of people aren't really completely cognizant of that. But I knew enough where it was fun and it was a lot of work, but I enjoyed doing it. So off and on, I'd written countless songs. In fact, this is just some of the stuff. This is the book. I had a band I came up with called Purple Mountain Majesty, being American, and I liked all the music. So I put all my songs in this trifold. There's songs I wrote here in high school and beyond, college. And just to give you an idea, legal pads, you name it, scribbled notes. I had this book with me in my car for about 3 years back in the early 80s. Prince 1999, Michael Jackson's Thriller came out, Footloose came out, all the big albums that to this day still, have whatever. Look at this, Out of Sight, Out of Mind. What's that? There's scribbled notes right there. I don't know if you can see them, of the music. My music professor, Gerald Wolfter, who went to Harvard. I still have the Harvard Dictionary of Music with me. Among other things, just countless songs I had written. And I thought I was doing it right. I was writing down titles of songs, words, little phrases, anything I could think of. Nobody told me how. Nobody taught me. I even bought a couple books years later, but I never really read them. And then I realized, after watching the Beatles documentary on Disney, there's a 3-day thing. Now, either you're going to love it or hate it because it's really long. But I was really fascinated with the fact that I thought by the time these guys were world famous 10 times over, that they had this pristine, eclectic way of doing their music. John and Paul got together, they created magic instantly. That wasn't how it worked. They would fiddle and faddle and come up with words. Scrambled eggs became yesterday. They were just throwing ideas out there. George Harrison kept going, hey, what about, I got this song called, Something. And they're looking at him like he's nuts. He quit the band right during the documentary. That song became one of the biggest covered songs of all time. Something in the way. Elvis did it, and Frank Sinatra. Everybody did it. So you just don't know. Then and now. In fact, more now than ever, because people now have studios in their, I don't know why this is zoning out this as much as it's doing. Hold on one second. That is so weird. I'm sorry it's out of focus. Wait. Is it coming back? All right, it's coming back. Hey, Keith, how you doing? Tina, how you guys doing? So what I'm trying to beta test with or without an audience tonight is, and even if you're not a songwriter, even if you don't know how to sing a poem or even tell a joke, knock, knock, who's there? It's something that I want to do because the technology exists. And I spent 3 years of my life talking about nothing besides my son and playing music. And I know people loved the music part, even the people that had nothing to do with anything. They loved guessing songs from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, more then than now. I don't know. Something about the new music. I think there's so much music being produced so quickly that it's not sticking and it's not staying on the charts long enough. It's like 1 week it's on, 1 week it's off. And you might have 3 or 4 artists here and there that in every segment, country, hip hop, top 40, whatever, like Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, where they can do no wrong for a while. But there's really a lot more artists out there with talent, with songwriting ability that are putting songs on Spotify as we speak, between 30 to 60,000 songs a day. Now, I don't care if your brain is a micro supercomputer. There's no way in hell you could listen to 30,000 songs 24 hours a day in 1 year. Now, imagine that in 1 day. So what I thought I would do is take a small segment. And now this idea can be plagiarized and copied over and over and over, and it really wouldn't matter. Every city, every state. But what hasn't done, just like when I posted on Facebook, a lot of people didn't take that. They just, because they say the attention span, not just of young people, I've discovered older people as well, don't have more than 15 to 30 seconds. On TikTok, they just want to see something for 15 seconds or less, and then that's it now. But there are stories that are interesting for songwriters, singers, people that like to produce or create. And I may be right, I may be wrong, but I have the ability, with the limited amount of resources, the limited amount of money, and maybe technology, which is easy to upgrade in every aspect, computer, hardware, software, you name it. But enough where the idea, because right now they're just using WhatsApp, like I said, which all you can do is see text and you can share links. That's it. Zoom. But the problem with Zoom is you have to go in, and if you don't pay for it, you only can stand for 45 minutes, or you have to be invited in, put in a code, and like the rest of the world can't come on. So you have to be kind of a member, and I think it can hold up to 100 people. So this, between my website, between this and YouTube and Facebook and everything, I wanted it to be unlimited, whether there's 5 people watching or 5 million people watching somewhere down the line. And that's the best part. That's the part that always encouraged me and not discouraged me. It wasn't the live audience. It was the audience that came after it, that could only see 10 minutes at a time, or maybe saw it a year later or 2 years later. And if I can tell everybody's story, somebody that's super talented and super creative, and instead of just putting a song out there on SoundCloud or, like I said, Spotify or whatever other resource out there, they can put it out there, but then the song is given out there for free. And it may never make a chart, and it may never get radio play. But if you see the story behind the musician, you can see her or his face or their faces, and you can hear their voices, and you can listen to how they came up with the song or the idea for the song or the album or what they were going through. It may have been something negative. It may have been something abusive and horrific. And that's what they say about a lot of songwriters. They sing through their pain, and they're able to express themselves. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Sorry about that. I've got a heater set on down here, and that's the first time I think it's come on by its own. That's how cold it is down here. Luckily, I don't stay cold that easy. So I came down here with a jacket. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, I think there's more positive than negative than for me to ask the right questions, being a DJ that used to pick hits, reading charts, dance music charts, Billboard music, you pick it, Rolling Stone, whatever that was out there at the time. And then throughout the years, like we do on the internet. And there's so many charts now that I was even looking at some today and I'm going, man, I didn't know 40 of the songs that were on the top 40 of this one hip hop thing. And I know that there was no airplay on the radio in Detroit. It was a Chicago playlist. So as we get to this technology where we've expanded the numbers exponentially to a level that we can't see a majority, I'd say about 95% or more of the songs that are released every day, every week, every month, every year. And songs aren't lasting on the charts like whatever was number 1, 2, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Nobody's even looking at it anymore or listening to. And I think what's missing, and just like streaming became more popular, I remember going to a Blockbuster about 10 years ago or so when they were around. And I said, you guys got to get with the technology of streaming like Netflix. They looked at me, the manager, and he knew me for 5 years. He goes, I'm the top manager, not only in Michigan, but in the country. And I said, that's great. I says, on Saturdays, you should have video games with Xbox and all them, getting them all. Oh, no. He looked at me like I was stupid. Well, I saw him at Home Depot like 2 years ago, and he hated his job. But at the time, he had, Blockbuster. They even had their own awards show. Remember that? And they were everywhere. They could remember how they would hold you hostage. You had like $30 late fees, just for like 4 days. And, it caught up to them. The greed, the ability not to change or whatever. And Netflix, they're paying people. It's called syncing. They're paying people for every show, every movie, every little series that you binge. All those songs that get on there are giving that artist, even if the song maybe would have never made the radio, a chance to percolate. They get paid upfront for that song, okay? And then they get residuals. What if it's $1,000? The guy that wrote the song to Cheers made $150. Remember, everyone knows your name. $150, and he hired the best lawyer he could find because he thought he got a raw deal. The lawyer says, I can't do anything. But here's the deal. You're going to get royalties. I made sure of that. And anytime that song is played, you're going to make, some money. He goes, geez, how much? And then he goes, and if they ever, buy it to play a TV commercial years from now or whenever, you're going to get paid for it. Well, the guy became a multimillionaire because his song's been played on, TV commercials and constantly syndicated in reruns, with major cable networks. So that one song 40 years ago is now making this guy rich. And he even made a Gary Portney. He actually has a play. He lives on the east side, or east coast of the United States. And he doesn't even write music anymore. He hasn't in a long time, but he has a license plate he had made called One Hit Wonder. And it was an homage to the fact that song made his life comfortable for the rest of his life. Right? Same thing with, what's her name? Kate Bush. Oh, Kate Bush, she's the best. She was a goddess. She's the best vocalist. She was very eclectic. People were really into her. Most people weren't, but there was a good segment of people that kind of were. Well, it didn't matter because when she got on Stranger Things on Netflix, which is a scientific horror TV show, whatever it was, Millie Bobby Brown and all that. Well, and the more current season, like a year or so ago, she actually, Kate Bush, they got her song called Running Up the Hill, which she really wanted to call something God. She wanted to use the word God in it. And they told the record producers back then in the 80s, the mid 80s, in 85, they said, we can't because the radio stations won't play it. The religious groups will come out, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So she had to change the name of it and call it Running Up the Hill. Well, they started playing it on the show, Netflix, and she's made almost $3 million, maybe even more, just because of that. And all the kids, 40 years later, that weren't even born when that song came out, love that song. And of course, they pay for it. You know how you get all excited after you go out of a play or something and you buy the CD because you just get caught up in it? Well, that's what people do. It's like when somebody dies, the sales go through the roof. And the same thing happened to Metallica. Now, Metallica, they were a heavy metal group from the 80s and 90s. And they were really big. They were like so anti-internet. They were anti-Netflix. They were anti-everything. And, they didn't want their music sold. commercialized, just like Led Zeppelin and them. They didn't want in the Who, they didn't want their music ever to be commercialized in movies or commercials. And you probably hear their songs more than anybody else. Think about the Who. How many times have you heard, Who Are You, playing on the CSI series, right? And they get paid every time that song gets played. Big money, big money. They're not complaining, and they're still alive to spend that money. So, Metallica, the guy came out and did a guitar solo to scare away the demons, and it was Masters of Puppets. That song was written about 40 years ago. It's crazy how fast time goes by, but it's still a big iconic song if you're a Metallica fan, even if you're 20 years old, especially if you're a heavy metal guitarist and all that. Well, that song, Lars, the drummer for Metallica, he's always on Howard Stern, and he was interviewed, and he goes, that was like an honor for them to ask us. He goes, I admit it, because I was a jerk, totally jerk about all of that. There was no way in hell I was ever going to allow that to happen. He goes, but when they asked us, they said, sure, the young generation will see it, hear it, and they're getting paid. And they already have a lot of money, but they're getting paid. So why not give somebody the opportunity? Like me, I don't care if I make it rich or famous. I would love that the songs that I've written. I asked my favorite cousin, who's a year younger than me, last night, because I was going to go out to drive 50 miles to see him out in Brighton. It's west of Detroit, way out there in the boonies. But I said to him, I says, what would you do after everything I've been through? That's my story. And even if you had all these songs, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ideas and songs, and I know how to recognize the song. So when I wrote these, I was thinking, okay, maybe it sounds like this group or that group, or without plagiarizing, but coming up with your own spin, because that's how we do it. And some of it was different, and he goes, yeah, I got nothing to lose. And that's how, like a lot of the songwriters I've met around the world just in the past 8 months. 8 months. What is it? 8 months. There you go. Sorry. They're all looking for that legacy. They're all looking for that, that recognition. They're all looking for that immortality. Just one song. In fact, being a DJ, which was probably the cheesiest thing I ever did, because, DJs have the biggest egos. Nightclub DJs have the biggest egos in the world. They don't know how to read music, listen to music. They couldn't tell you a C major from an F minor to a diminished whatever. They couldn't. They can't. But what really challenged me was that every time a radio DJ would walk in the room, no matter how much I packed a club, they would get more attention than I did. They would get selfies taken. They would get autographs, asked for, just being the radio DJ that played the songs. And I looked at myself and I go, God, no matter what I did, no matter how well I thought I did it, nobody ever asked me for my autograph. And I couldn't record most of my sets back then. So I couldn't show you, hey, I remember that night I rocked it back in September of 2010, and that goes true to this day, because they really can't record it and they can't broadcast music on any social media because they'll shut you down, even here on YouTube. So I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I've written every kind of song imaginable. Top 40. I'm sure you have, Jenna. Well, you're world famous. She's got 50 hits on YouTube, and she's worth millions. But I'm the exception to the rule. But anyway, I know that even the DJs that I work with, they don't get one penny of royalty, no matter how many thousands of times they played, not one. And so, no offense to the DJ, but I realize that anybody that can download or push a button doesn't even know how to listen to music or read music. You can be a DJ in 5 seconds. I can teach any human being with the IQ of 80 how to be a DJ. Simple as that. That's the true story. But to be a songwriter, to be a composer, a producer, you have to really know your stuff. You have to know how to use mixing, how to do compression, reverb. You have to know how to, go, if somebody calls out, okay, we need to change that A minor into, C major, or we need to do this on, you have to go right away. You have to go from this to that, right? Just like that. And there's really a substantial amount of heart into creating a song. It doesn't matter if it's hip hop, electronic, anything. And the more you know your craft, the more you know your music, the more you are able to listen to a producer or somebody that really can do whatever, especially when you're collaborating, which is probably the newest, biggest thing. We've been doing it for years, but more now than ever before, songwriters are finding strength in numbers, where years ago they weren't. Years ago, you would hear like when Michael Jackson would team up with Mick Jagger to do State of Shock. That was a big deal, remember? Or Kid Rock would do a song with Sheryl Crow. That became an iconic song for them. But now it's really amazing because, you don't realize that the musicians from Toto, remember Hold the Line, Africa, they were such extraordinary musicians in their own right, each one of them, vocally and musically, that they would actually record stuff for Michael Jackson. Some of the hardest stuff that he ever performed, like Human Nature. If you were to break down the stems, and I saw it recently with somebody that's a professor with Ableton that I work with, his name is Cy Smith. He's a genius out of, some part of the UK in Berlin and all that. He works with Ableton people. And he said that when he broke down the song Human Nature that was, produced by Quincy Jones, that it was so. Can you guys hold on one second? Is there something going on up there? I think I got my daughter upstairs, so I think she's walking around like crazy. But anyway, I apologize. Anyway, it's funny because the amount of technology that they didn't have back then when they wrote Thriller and what they have today, it's amazing. It's just amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's funny. My daughter turns 13 tomorrow, and her middle name is Presley. And it was going to be Sapphire, but because she was born on Elvis's birthday. You want to see something, Jeff? Mr. Positive? Hold on. I haven't moved this. By the way, that's a unique picture of John Lennon I had. See this? My buddy Ross gave me this. People wonder if they go, what's that gold record? See that Elvis Presley record? See that? Elvis, how old Elvis would be? He died in 1977 at 42. So do the math. I'm trying to think. Hey, Jenna, you're a DJ, right? You would love this. I bodyguarded a lady, an executive for Comerica for 3 years. And as a going away present, she gave me this. Isn't that crazy? Okay, oops, sorry. Can you read it? Is that cool? And it's supposed to light up, but the batteries always die. So anyway, but there's like lights that go around and all that. I thought you would appreciate that. That's for Jenna. Jenna Brown, famous DJ. I think you're one of the most famous female DJs in the world. Yeah, Vinyl Junkies. So this is part of what I want to do. Whether, as I'm recording music, we're creating music, taking songs that may have been mediocre or suck, I want them better. I'm rewriting them. I'm reapplying new sounds. In fact, I went to a movie with my buddy Keith last night, and it was funny because we were watching a movie called Wakanda Forever. The Black Panther sequel, because the actor Chadsworth, what was his name? Great actor. Oh my God, they did such a nice homage at the beginning, at the end for this actor. He died like 42 years old, cancer. In real life. And he was like, Black Panther was like Marvel Comics, the movie industry's biggest movie of all time. Because they never really had a major black superhero. And he did such an amazing job. And who else was in it? Angela Bassett. Great movie. But the music was so different. It was stuff I've never heard before. And in fact, I was with my phone. I was sound hounding it, like Shazam. I was like, what is that sound? What is that sound? What is that sound? And so anyway, it was like, I go, that's where I have to take certain songs. And I have to find certain female vocalists, certain male vocalists, percussionists, producers. I want every one of my songs to be as good as they can possibly be. And I had to rethink everything because I thought I knew everything. More, at least enough. And you can stop texting me. She's texting me now. But anyway, it's like having wild animals upstairs. But anyway, it's so amazing that you can reinvent yourself at any particular age. And this goes for anybody, even if you're not a songwriter, because I try to be, if you're a songwriter watching me, what I used to do, and I don't know if I was good at it, but after my son had died 3 years ago, there was a lot of people that were finding some, because COVID actually augmented this part. Like, what are we doing? Like, they started to see the mortality of their life, and songwriters did too, of course. But you know what? It's like you're never too young, you're never too old to pursue something. And when I went to Nashville last year, a lot of people here in Detroit's a weird town. It's more negative than positive because it's blue collar, and a lot of people didn't encourage me to go to Nashville. They said, "Oh man, it's been done. There's too many people. They're younger. They've been doing this and this." Well, as soon as I got there, I got into the Bluebird Cafe. See this right here, the Bluebird, and that was it was sold out, but I got in, and I met some of the top songwriters in the world of all time, a handful: Roger Cook, Tony Arata, Leslie Satcher. The list goes on. And then my buddy saw me, a radio DJ from iHeartRadio, originally from here in Detroit, and we're good friends. And he goes, "I'm going to introduce you to people." This was last year, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, it was last year, or a year ago in February. We went back to Nashville, and I met all the top producers, all the top artists, and there would have been more, except COVID was still kind of lingering on, and so some people didn't show up, but a lot did. That's when I came back to Detroit, and I go, what now? I reached out to every singer, songwriter, DJ, producer, and they were all stuck doing the same mediocre things. Detroit used to be Motown, but it's not that way anymore. Nothing's been done since Kevin Saunderson in the house music industry. He came out with Big Fun, Inner City, Good Life. Nobody's ever had that success since. Not like that. So we become a mediocre town. But what got me to keep going here was the internet, Zoom, WhatsApp, things I never even knew about. And I'm pretty computer savvy, but it's like it changed the game. And Zoom really didn't exist that well. And everything else started to follow. Like I said, Microsoft Teams, and, they were even trying to do it with Facebook, Messenger, they were trying to, and I don't know if the young kids like that. They like you said, they love TikTok. They love Snapchat. They like their pictures to disappear after one day. They like their messages to be, 15 seconds or less. But it seems to work for the artists because a lot of these artists are getting discovered. So you have to embrace what the young people like. They don't know what a telephone is. They don't know what a payphone is. They don't know what half the stuff is that we deal with. They don't, I was at a movie theater last night, and it was nice. It was a Friday night, and the theater was empty. And it had all the big movies. So people are still they're watching it from here. They're watching it from here, and the reason I took myself off of Facebook for my personal stuff, and I never thought I would because I was kind of addicted to it. Remember how we get addicted to that? I realized compassion goes so far. We're caught up in the minuscule. We're caught up in the superficial. And we're not caught up in the extraordinary. We're caught up in the ordinary. But I do like the fact that songwriters, the good ones, or the ones that want to be good, take your pick, they're always striving to learn more. The people that I am involved with, they spent a lot of money for an entire year to meet and greet, not just famous people, not just the best of the best songwriters with years and years of songs from country. Like you think oh, well, I just wrote there's a guy, Andrew Rollins, who I'm friends with. He's best friends with Randy Jackson, played bass for Journey, American Idol, right? Wrote a lot of songs for the show called Nashville. Lived in Nashville, goes back and forth year to year, great guitar player. He lives in LA near my other buddy. There was another lady I was talking to in New York. She's been in Nashville. She got discovered by Mel Tillis, sang with Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton. But she's also written a lot of songs for dance artists. She had a song called Release Me. She's 76 years old, lives in Long Island, and she wrote a dance song, a techno dance song called Release Me. And it was #1 in Europe and made the charts here in Detroit. So it's crazy what we perceive in our minds. We think that time, age, and we stereotype and we typecast people into one category. Well, they're country, they must be country. How can they do hip hop? How can they do club? How can they do this? How can they? Because they're musicians and they're creative. You can take one song, any song in the world. In fact, I'm jumping off for a second, but was it Friday? Yeah, yesterday, 5:00, we're on, and a guy named Jeffrey Franzel. He played with Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., this and that. Les Brown from the Les Brown Orchestra discovered him when he was young, keyboard player, amazing pianist. And he taught him how to produce and this and that. Well, next thing you know, he's doing songs for Taylor Dane. Remember that song, Don't Rush Me? Dun, 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 dun. He came up with that. A plethora of other songs, The Princess Bride, Serendipity. He's working on movies movies as we speak right now. He can't even talk about them, but he's also in concert tonight with another musician in St. Louis. He's all over the place, doing a million different things. He's in his 70s. There are people that I'm talking to that are in their teens. Country sister act I met in Nashville. Another buddy of mine, Jimmy Charles, he's in Maryland right now. He goes back and forth to Nashville. There's another guy I just met, Jackson Dean. His songs are like #1, Yellowstone. But they're all in it. They're like mixing and matching. So my goal, in addition to writing lyrics, writing titles and ideas to songs, taking myself out of the social media network, because my story's been told and I told it too much, but I thought it was helping people at the same time. And it was. Even today, somebody posted a nice message. But I think what would do it more justice is if I could write a song and with somebody or for somebody or both, where they sing it and they go, wow, Chris wrote that, or he was collaborating with it. My name's on the credit there somewhere. And then all of a sudden the people that kind of just, dissolved from my life, they go, oh, wow, hey, come. But that's not the reason I do it. That's not the reason. The reason I do it because I've always been a songwriter in my head and in my heart, more than a DJ, more than anything else. I just never followed through the opportunity. And I met somebody, and one of the other reasons I just told somebody, and I've told this story many times before, is I knew a lot of famous people, or I had encounters with famous people. Some were really stuck up. Some couldn't handle the fame and fortune. A lot of them were one-hit wonders, had big hits. And then there was some that I met that had ended horribly, like George Michael. He was younger than me, and he died by himself on Christmas. Ironically, last Christmas, right? A couple years ago. But and I was afraid of the fame. I didn't want my privacy taken. I saw guys that were famous that I would have to walk into the bathroom and they were just happy to pee without being bothered. You know what I mean? Can you imagine? So, and we all think we love attention. We love attention. Facebook, Instagram, has that not taught us that that's exactly what we love? We love attention. We want everyone to know what our dog looks like, where we're eating, who we're with, where we're golfing, what we're doing. So I was thinking about writing a song. I've written a lot of songs actually in the last couple of weeks thinking about social media. I wrote a song, how we have that, remember we used to say BFF, best friend forever. I actually wrote a song called Worst Friend Ever. It actually was called Worst Friend and then in parentheses ever. And it was about Facebook, social media, because it's like all of a sudden it's who we voted for, who we believed in and worshiped, what we did, what we thought. All of a sudden it ended friendships 10, 20, 30 years long. And I thought, wow. And Worst Friend Ever, just to give you an idea. And that was just one of many songs I wrote in the last couple of days. It was about, because, we want our songs to have topics that are relevant as time goes on. And thank you. And I told somebody, I go, I told my friend to tell me when it's 10:50, because I don't want to stand there for 2 hours. But what Worst Friend was, just to give you an idea how I get inspired for songs, and I didn't write songs like this years ago, but it was like, and I talked to the guys at the gym about it tonight that are close to me, and they loved it. And these are young guys in their 20s. And they said, oh my God, we all have a worst friend. Somebody we grew up with, somebody we trusted all our lives, somebody we went to business with, somebody we dated and, for a long time or married, right? And then at the end of it, it went complete opposite direction, 180, right? Worst friend ever. Took your money, took your life, took your soul, took everything they could take to hurt you. And the worst part about it, the people that hurt us the worst outside of an accident or a disease, or, you know, most people who have good lives are always venting about who betrayed them or let them down. That was one song that I wrote. What was another one I wrote? Here, hold on. Sometimes I put them in my phone. Here, I'll show you what I do. This is just one idea. And here's another song called Isolate. Can you read it? Yeah, Isolate. And a friend of mine said something yesterday. He goes, you know what? I'm isolating myself from all the people I know. And this is a very outgoing, positive person. And I go, oh my God, there was a song I have on an app that I just downloaded. I uploaded 583 songs from another app I have. It's called Voice Record. I don't know if you can see it. And so there's all these songs I put on there. Well, as I was sending them to my Dropbox and listening to them, because I haven't listened to some of these in years, I wrote the song years ago, and it was called Isolate. And I said, and it was exactly what this person was talking about yesterday. And I don't know why I came up with the lyrics, but it starts off just random. I feel great. It's never too late. Used to surround myself with those circles like belonging to a 3-ring circus. And what that means, sorry, this carbonated pop is really messing me up. But what it is that I used to think as long as I'm around 100 plus people a day, and here where I was at, because I was a loner when I grew up. I was really friends, but I was always mostly by myself, like I am now. And I have no problem. And I said, you know what, fun? Sorry about that. That's a first. I ran into somebody from Facebook yesterday. Let me turn this down. Wait, is that better? Yeah, I have this other light. It makes me look like I'm tan. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so what happened was I have a brighter light above me, but it's too much. Let me turn this one up. Maybe. Oh, okay. So, and I said, I'm going to say her name. Maybe I shouldn't say her name. Anyway, I ran into her at Costco, and I was in a hurry, but I was on my way back from my parents' house, and it was on the way. And she was working near the door, probably 50 feet in. They were doing credit cards for Costco or something, her and some other gentleman. And she came up and talked to me for about 10 minutes. And she was talking about how I posted. And it started, songwriters can relate to this because, somebody can share an experience or a couple words and it will like, oh my God, I got to write that down. You know what I mean? And I even said, like, hold on a second, I got to write this down. And, she felt betrayed. And she goes, I don't know how to be alone. I've had a lot of friends, but now they're not my friends. I had a husband. Now he divorced me. Blah, blah, blah. Like putting her on social. No idea why it's on that. Anyway, and I said, you know what? It's hard to do let me see if I can turn off my Wi-Fi to help it out. It's hard to determine. I don't care how smart you are, how popular you are, how much money you have or don't have. It's really difficult. If you have a lot of money, you're not going to see it because your ego is too caught up in the attention you're getting. Hey, we're going to come over to your house and indulge in your food. Okay, drinks, whatever. So it's really difficult. And I know it is because you're too distracted. It's like trying to talk to all the guests. If you have 300 people at your party, you're going to talk to 20 of them if you're lucky. But you get to this point where you count on, you feel it. So when I wrote the song Isolate, after my buddy told me this idea, and I heard this woman talk, I said, you know what I told her, and I told him the same thing. I said, master the art of being by yourself. Put a nice tune in your head. Do everything you do by yourself. Do everything you do by yourself. You get a headache, you're going to take an aspirin. If you have to go to the bathroom, you're going to go to the bathroom by yourself. Shower, toothbrush, eat, drink, pay your bills. You're going to do everything by yourself. We're born alone, we die alone, right? So everything in the middle. But we get to this point where we kind of count on each other. Just like, like songwriters, it's kind of a contradiction because I'm looking to collaborate. That's what we do. We collab. That's the word, collab. And I've lost a lot of motivation. Facebook actually demotivated me because I realized I wasn't that relevant anymore. I wasn't that popular. I wasn't that thing. And then I go, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me back away from this for a minute. Let me just turn myself off. Nobody can see me. I can't see them. And I started being liberated. I actually feel good. I really do. I mean, I think I had COVID a couple of weeks ago or something because I was really tired, and I haven't been sick in 3 years, in the whole time, even after my boy died. But even with that, I felt liberated. And I wanted to share that secret. I go, you know what? You don't always have to have people. Now, if you have a lot of people around you and you got a good life, a lot of kids, a lot of family, a lot of this, good for you. But there's a lot of people out there that don't. And those are the people that can relate to certain songs, right? So that's why I wrote Isolate. And there's even days where you could be the most popular person in the world. You're the boss and king of your work and your job. And you walk in and you just want to be left alone, right? Leave me alone. Everyone leave me. Let me be. And I thought, we all need that time. So I thought this song, Isolate, would be cool. But it wasn't a negative song. It could have easily been a negative song. Did you hear the words? The first thing I came up with is, I feel great. I feel great. So that is what part of the music is. You can make it a dance song. You can make it just a top 40 song. You could make it whatever you want to make it. And the other thing I want to do with this, even to my worst enemy, my worst critic, my worst anything, my worst friend, is if I start to write a song, whatever instrument I'm going to play, whether it's let's see, wait, could be anything. Let's see, let me do something here. Whatever rhythm or beat or something come up, wouldn't that be kind of cool if you don't know how to write a song, don't have any rhythm, don't whatever, go, you know what, Chris, maybe you've made it a little faster, maybe slower. Hey, maybe if you've made it sound a little sadder. Oh, you mean minor chord? Yeah. Major chord, bright? Yeah. Maybe augment it, make it even more intense. Or maybe not so as intense, diminish it. You're going to learn something. Maybe you'll be part of the song. What if you gave me the right words or the people that I'm working with? Why not include you? Put $100 in your pocket, put $1,000 on, maybe some residual. Why not? Why wouldn't I share that? I would love that. That's how a lot of experiments in life succeed, by accident, by the people least qualified or least likely when you least expect it, right? That is the coolest thing possible. That I think the songwriting process with the internet, social media, whatever technology like Zoom and WhatsApp and StreamYard, and that's what I want to turn my website, danceparty.com, into. So this is kind of a litmus test, beta. I don't really know. I don't know if I'm sure most likely it won't work on Facebook 99% of the time, especially with most of the people. But if I have 3 or 4 people from my list that really want to add an idea, it doesn't matter where you are, what you're going through, good or bad. I think you could be part of the process. And why wouldn't you want to write and create something that may sustain the test of time? A year from now, 10 years from now. Look at that running. I never even heard of that song running. I knew who Kate Bush was. Running Up a Hill. I mean, I would have never given that song 10 seconds of thought. But because now it's gotten so much attention, like, oh, I got to listen to it now, right? So you never know. She didn't even know. Now she's 60. She was in her 20s when she did it. Go look at the video. Now she's 65 years old and she's like, huh? Right? Life can give you those things. I'm not looking to be, I want to be part of the process. I want that talented, outgoing, innovative, creative person or people. Whether I can do it myself or not, which I probably can, because I mean, there's not too many instruments I can't come up with. There's actually everything I can come up with is down here. And I can easily download something else if I need more sounds, trumpets or horns or strings. I mean, I've got 80 million of them, so I don't know what else I need. But even if I can take the idea and send it to somebody who can make it better, record it better, rewrite it better or something, I'm all, hey, listen, I'm part of that. I love that. And I want somebody out there to be part of that. You might write a Christmas song, a jingle. They're always looking for Christmas songs. Look how many there are not. My buddy Jay, a radio DJ, plays Christmas music from October all the way to New Year's. And after a while, you've heard those songs 1,000 times. It's nice when they come out with something different, unique. You might come up with that. You know what the number one song out there is? I think 2 ladies wrote it. I'm not even sure. Maybe you guys know the story. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. That song, they're still getting paid. When was that song? Probably before I was born, my time. But how many happy birthday songs are there? There's the Beatles, da 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 da. You say it's your birthday, Stevie Wonder. It's your birthday. What else? Right? This many? And the number one is Happy Birthday to you. How old are you? It's crazy. Like you think they would have came up with like 90 versions of that song already or more. No. So somebody's going to come up with it. And I mean, what, Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney are the only two that came up after that? I don't even understand that. I think there was a couple other songs, but they didn't last very long. But it doesn't matter. It's kind of a cool process. It's a cool process. Look, there's a lot of reasons I shouldn't be writing music or be down here or even be, but there's a part of me, because nobody wants to hear the negative, depressing side of my life. And that's right here. That's me in the middle. Half is dead. The other half is what got me on to the Songwriting Academy, the Nashville Songwriting Association, friends, because at the end of the day, no matter how much they write sad songs or mellow songs or ballads or anything, they don't want to be surrounded by negative energy, sad energy, none of that. And I get it. Maybe a little bit, but not this much. You know what I mean? Not that whole big piece of pie right there. And that's why I hope that in some way, shape, or form, and I could be wrong, that on a Saturday night in January, where it's cold and people are already done celebrating holidays and spend a lot of their money, waiting for the spring and summer to come again, that we can take this slow, cold time, wherever you are, and make something cool happen, make magic happen. Like I've always said, trust the process and really work. And I'll be honest with you, I have come up with a lot of songs. I should have a lot more done than I do, but this is one of the critical steps I'm taking, so you guys can at least enjoy it. Now, again, I'm not trying to post on Facebook anymore, but I felt the only reason I added Facebook tonight and not just YouTube, which this is primarily being shown on, is because there are a couple people that have liked hearing what I've done or said, and I don't script anything. I always tell you that I don't script it. I don't have any cue cards. That's probably why I'm moving around like I am down here. I'm speaking from the mind, from the heart, just as I'm going along here. But I do know that I want to make sure that if you are a songwriter out there from the TSA, the WhatsApp Clubhouse groups, and you want to reach out to me, this is one of the ways we can do it without just texting each other or emailing each other. And it would be nice to have an audience, whether they know what they're talking about or not. Some might get negative, some might. I doubt. I mean, it's really hard for most people to get too critical or too harsh. But if somebody says, hey, I think you should add this, wouldn't it be kind of exciting? I think that's cool. I actually want that to happen. That's kind of my own personal wish. I don't know if it's apropos or the normal way of doing things. I've never seen it, but it would be absolutely cool. Why wouldn't you want to include somebody out there? Because, even the Beatles, when they went to Abbey Road, none of them knew how to read music. And everybody thought these guys were like gifted magicians. They weren't. In fact, there's a movie that just came out that was a sequel to a really good movie called Knives Out with Daniel Craig, and it was an all-star cast. And he came back as this same thing, and it's called Glass Onion. The Glass Onion. It's streaming right now on Netflix. I think it's Netflix. And I just saw it with my daughter. She loves mystery movies and all that kind of stuff. And who's in it? Edward Burns, Kate Hudson, Dave Bautista. Who else? Just a few other people. But anyway, and at the end, I had no idea. I have the Beatles' White Album. Now, that is probably one of the most famous albums of all time. In fact, Helter Skelter, Charles Manson was inspired by it. He thought it was a message to him. Well, the song on the album, Glass Onion, it was an idea from John Lennon. And he was making fun of everybody out there in the world that thought they knew that what the Beatles were thinking when they wrote each of their songs. Like it was some eclectic, crazy message. It was, the universe, this universal, ascension of, wisdom that they had, proliferated to the world. He was making fun of everybody. He goes, yeah, Paul was the walrus and I was this and he was making fun of everybody. You know, like, you know, Paul, you know, when they walk down Abbey Road, Paul wasn't dead. Don't play the record backwards. Don't do this. Don't. He was making fun of it. And the Beatles are probably one of the biggest songwriting troops of all time in the world. So on that note, I'm going to end this. I'm going to end this. But, you know, if you see this later, it's about creating. I hope. I could be wrong. I fail more than I succeed. But the only thing I told this to a bunch of close friends in the last couple of weeks when I stopped posting on Facebook. I said, I'm not going to post on Facebook anymore. I says, because no matter how hard I try, I fail. And I'm just being honest. So if you think I have an ego or anything, I don't. I thought I did. And I've done a lot of really cool things in my life. But no matter how good I was at what I did or how hard I tried, I always failed. I failed at every single thing I did. I failed at keeping my son alive. I failed at keeping my marriage going. I failed at everything I did, no matter how good I did it. And I mean, look at it. I can keep this down here. One of the many things to remind myself, I was a firefighter. I was number one the whole time. That's me. I made more runs than everybody. I did as best I could. And the guy who fired me 10 years ago, he didn't like me. They ended up firing him 2 weeks ago. First time ever they've ever fired a chief. But, you know, sometimes karma works, sometimes it doesn't. But this is one of the ideas I have to benefit everybody else, not just the songwriter and the creator, but the person that will end up hearing that song through that person. And maybe this is another vehicle. Maybe people will copy it, make millions of dollars, and I won't make a penny, which is fine. But I definitely want people to at least, you know, sometimes, you know, we don't give credit to the people that paved the road, that, you know, that risked their life and limb to put dynamite through a mountain so you could drive down I-75 or whatever major highway, wherever you're at in the world. You know, people kill themselves to make those roads smooth, and we complain to a 90 miles an hour because we're going to be late to the gas station, right, or a restaurant. But there's a lot of sacrifices, people who will never get credit for it, who never got paid well for it. And if that's me, that's fine. But I love the fact that I am able to do this from one of the worst places I've ever lived in the world for the past 6 years, and, you know, where my daughters and my son used to be. And so whoever interprets this as a negative, that's fine. But whoever interprets this and sees this and deciphers it as a positive thing, welcome aboard. I don't know if I'm going to post it again with Facebook. It doesn't post to Instagram or TikTok, but I want it to be a two-way vehicle. And next time I'm going to try to bring on some guests. I'm going to try to invite people. And even if I never talked to them or heard their music, I'm going to bring it on. I'm going to see if I can maybe vet them a little bit. Maybe I'll go on their Spotify or wherever they have their music online and listen to some of it. And if it's really good, we just had a couple female singers on the Songwriting Academy with Martin Sutton, who started that whole thing. And they came up with a country song. These two girls never met each other, these two ladies, and they sang the song. It's called "Been Through Hell." And it sounds like an upbeat country song, right? And but it's actually about them going through all these problems, and they've been through hell, but now they've got to paradise. Basically, all the things they went through, bad relationships, money problems, everything bad. And true story. These two women never met, from different parts of the world, and he's in the United Kingdom, and they write this country song. Well, it's #1 country song. It went to #1 in 3 days, surpassing everybody that's ever been famous, including Carrie Underwood. And, you know, a few other major people like that. 3 days to make #1. In fact, I even reached out to my friend Michael J., who's a big iHeartRadio country DJ, who took me to Nashville. And I said, you got to listen to this song. You got to listen to it. He hasn't got back to me. He's been kind of distant the last couple of weeks because I know he's been pretty busy with his own life and his own career. But I still sent it to him. And I told him I would. So hopefully, you know, he hears it. Because if it went to #1 in 3 days, been through hell. And it's a story that you guys can all relate to. In fact, it's on Instagram. I should share the link. And, you know, it's a country song, but you got to listen to the words. And you got to see the story that they share. The story. See, that's the thing. Sometimes you never hear the behind the scenes story of how a song was created or what the premise of the song was about. And it might inspire you. Like when people hear the song Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. Women go crazy. Oh, I love that song. Eric Clapton, when he wrote it, he was being sarcastic to his wife. She goes, "How do I look?" They were in a hurry to go somewhere, and he goes, "Yeah, you look wonderful." Like he didn't even look at her, but that became a ballad, and everyone thought it was like a great song. It was like, I remember, I told this story before. It was like, I remember this bride bugged me to death like years ago when I was DJing her wedding. She goes, "I got to have that song, The Way We Were, The Way We Were." It's such a, and I go, "Do you know what the song's about? Did you see the movie?" And when she finally realized it, because she was totally adamant about it, she couldn't not, she didn't realize it was a breakup song. And we're going to play a breakup song at your wedding, like whatever, because we don't really listen to the words sometimes. I'm not kidding. And yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We think we do, and I'm bad because I love, as much as I love music and songwriting, there's a lot of like, I remember girls when I would play at the clubs, they love that, and they'd sing the rap songs, the whatever. I never listened to the words. I just listened to the title, like hip hop hooray ho. The rest of it I didn't know. I didn't even care. I really didn't. They're like, huh? I go, yeah, I thought you loved music. I cared about the music and the chords. I didn't, in the tempo. I didn't care about the words that much because it was all gibberish to me. I thought it was bad grammar. Well, hip hop is bad grammar, but it works, I guess. Ask Eminem $80 million later. All right. Well, but am I wrong? Hey, look at, here's a DJ, here's a female DJ right here. This is hilarious. But am I wrong? Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. So it's poetry. Well, right. And you know what? It only depends on who listens to it and who likes it. And we're under this. I used to be under this impression of everyone had to like it or else. How when you're DJing, you're picking that song, you want as many people on the dance floor as possible. Pack the dance floor. That was a big thing. Pack the dance floor. Floor filler. But so I had it backwards. I was wired wrong. I was wired wrong with everything. I thought I did everything wrong. I go, why am I scribbling on notes? This is probably the wrong way to do it. They're going, you kept it all? I go, yeah. I go, that's amazing. They're actually impressed that I did all this. And this is nothing. I got cases. See that case back there? I mean, there's pads, there's keyboard. My Dropboxes got thousands of songs. There's got to be two in there that might, that may work. I don't know. Hopefully. But again, this is a key to a new world. It's a key. I want to call danceparty.com the music factory, meaning it's universal. And it's not just Detroit. It's not Chicago. It's Sydney, Australia. It's the United Kingdom, Spain, Italy. I've talked to people from the Netherlands, Ireland, Dublin, and that's Ireland. Everywhere, every day. Wow. Before I'd have to live in New York, Chicago, or LA, Nashville. I still want to go to Nashville because I think if I'm surrounded by a lot of hungry songwriters, whether they're good or not, or willing or not, if I meet 10 people, I'm good. And I can still do this anywhere from my car or wherever. And I think, how many people at my age or any age try to reinvent themselves, especially after tragedy? And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. Like I said, you wouldn't want my life. And I had a good life for a long time. You never know. And that's why I said sometimes people don't see it coming. So you can take the positive and turn it into a negative. You can take a negative, turn it into a positive, or whatever you choose to do. But I want to include nothing from this moment on, meaning if I have to get rid of every single human being I've ever known in my life, family included, to start over. The one good thing about me is that I've met a few thousand people in the last 8 months that I've never met before. And I got rid of 3,000 plus people on Facebook that I've had on my Facebook for at least 5 years or longer. Family, friends, classmates. You can start over. You don't have to worry about getting rid of people in your life for whatever reason. You need people that are positive, that get you and will back you up even if they don't agree with you, like what you're singing, like what you're doing. They just have to go, you know what? I'm glad you're in my life. I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're creating some kind of energy, something that makes life worth living. You're not stealing from me. You're not taking my food. You're not cheating on me. You're not cheating with somebody I know. There's a lot of negatives. That's what inspired Worst Friend. And Worst Friend would have never existed because what we do to each other usually is tangible, right? We steal from each other. We talk bad about each, but social media created it created the fifth element. It's like, yeah, hey, I can like you. I can dislike you for no reason. I can end our whole history together just like that. I've seen it done thousands of times just in the last couple of years. And I thought, God, that's kind of shitty. It kind of sucks. Really? And then when I went to Nashville, I felt even more alone. I thought, God, nobody's wishing me, hey, you need a ride to the air. You need gas. Hey, you need a hookup there. Hey, you need some advice. I had 3 people tell me something. Okay. All right. When I got there, I had the freaking time of my life, thinking all the negative things that I had here. I had the time of my life. And then my buddy calls me that I haven't seen in 21 years, radio DJ. So we're going back in 3 months. And everybody told me because I said, hey, we're going to meet everybody. Keith Urban, Blake Shelton, a whole bunch of people. And everybody here in Detroit's a weird town. But, in fact, 99% of the people I talk to on Facebook are not even from this area ever. They've never even been here. But it was funny because everyone was like, oh, they gave me every negative thing. Oh, you're too, and it's like, that's the number one secret complaint that everybody I talk to has complained about. They go, God, I didn't know these people wouldn't be there for me when I needed something. That's what that woman told me at Costco. She goes, everyone told me to get on food stamps. So, I used to be there. I'd give you, if I had $100, I'd give you 99 of it. But when I went to ask somebody for a favor, they all jumped in. It's like, wow. So surround yourself around positive people and don't stay loyal to the people in your life because of history or biology. That's bullshit. That's the worst negative thing you can ever do, whether you have money or not. Doesn't matter. History and biology mean shit. It's finding people. It's like when I found the Songwriting Academy, I said I landed finally on the right planet where people got me. And they all look different. Young, old, different colors, different shapes. We all had the same goal, to create something that the world wanted to hear. Is that an amazing story? Ordinary, normal, mediocre people, regardless if they have $10 million in their pocket, don't get that. They'll die tomorrow and nobody will give 2 shits except the people that are fighting over that $10 million. It's true. I've seen it countless times. So let's write some beautiful music together. Detroit, I can't talk shit about it. All right. I can talk shit about Detroit because I'm from here. But anyway, it's not a bad city. We used to have Motown. Okay, how about that? We had Motown, and we had Barry Sanders. And what else do we have? Well, we had Car Company, Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler? But anyway, no, seriously. And we got techno DJs that make it everywhere else but Detroit. Never here in Detroit, always somewhere else in the world. So yeah, I guess I can talk about that. And that's the truth. But be good to yourself and text me or email me at danceparty.com@gmail.com. My computers are always on. We can drop music, we can drop beats. What drum kit is that? Hold on. What the heck is that? I don't even know what that is. Hold on. What else I got? That's hip hop. Let's see. Where's our rock one? Here. This is like Genesis. Phil Collins. I remember that. All right. And Jenna, would you like to say something before I go? Anybody want to say something? Jenna blew up the text feed right here. Like, I can't even hit it all. Jenna, if you ever want to write a song with me, come on up. You wrote a rap song last night, actually. Is that true? Then come on and bring it. Bring it. I got to hit. Let's see. Where's my hip hop song? Wait, let me see. Wait, where's my hip hop? Hold on 1 second. Oh, is that it? I'm reaching as far as I can. Sorry about that. Well, that's too fast for hip hop. What is hip hop now? Like 70 BPM? It used to be 100. Grant, how are you? My old neighbor. Wow, that's a blast from the past. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. You know what? I seem like I'm bashing everybody from my hometown. Grant, you know what? You were one of the coolest neighbors. I swear to God, you were always such a nice guy. And I think I saw you a couple of times. I saw him at my son's funeral, but there are beautiful people everywhere. And I know I bashed on Detroit. Jenna, you're right. I did bash on, but I do love Detroit. I mean, this is where I'm from. In fact, you know what? It is probably one of the coolest places. You know what got me into the Bluebird Cafe, by the way? I got to tell you something really quick. I have a Mark Buchanan from 30 years ago, but it's in mint condition. It looks like a sport jacket. And when I got up to the front door, the guy goes, "Where are you from?" And it said Detroit in big leather letters on my jacket. And he liked it. And, so secretly, I do love Detroit. I really do. Hey, I miss you too, buddy. I miss you too. You know what? I'm talking about songwriting. That's what I want to do. I've got people from around the world that I talk to all the time, every day. In fact, tomorrow is going to be another one. I wish Kerry was on here. He's the guy that really got me fired up, because there was times in the last 6 months where I was fired up sometimes, and there were some days I just couldn't get off the couch, thinking about, my boy and everything. And he just kept pushing me. Never met me. He's in Australia. And the thing about that is, when you least expect it, there's people and things out there, even from the other side of the planet, that will reach out to you. So never feel alone. If you're a songwriter, a poet, an artist, or not, just always, 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 always reach out. Always try. And don't always look in the same direction where you're not getting any attention or answers from, and not all family's bad. Not all friends are bad. But if you expect, because people don't want to be treated like you owe them or they owe you. And mainly that, but it's not about that. It's about counting on people. It's about just a couple words. It's a couple words, like a song. You may not be able to write a song or a poem. You may have to go buy a Hallmark card or a greetings card from the, whatever store out there or online. But you know what the really nicest words are? Hello, hi, how are you? How you feeling today? I hope you're doing good. Aloha, mahalo, right? Those are the only things that are worth more than all the money in the world. When somebody reaches out to you on your worst moment, when you're by yourself and you're going through something, so reach out and just touch them. And you know what? You might inspire a song. And that's what this is all about. It's about writing good music. And even if you're not, what did Stevie Wonder say? It's the songs to the key of life, the Musiquarium, and probably one of the best albums ever written. But that's what I want to be part of before I die. It's not about being famous. It's not about being rich. It's just being part of the energy that sustains long after I'm gone. And I can hopefully share and lift somebody up when they turn on the radio or they put it in their little headphones or whatever. That's the only wish I have left. That's the only wish I have left. Besides my daughters being okay. And on top of that, I guess that's all I have. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And to whoever's still on here, I don't know who's watching. I know Mr. Positive was on here. What a great guy. Ariana, I love her name. Thank you, Ariana. Jenna, of course. How could I not say thank you to Jenna? Jenna, I haven't seen you in a long time. Yeah, Fast Car, Tracy Chapman. That's a great song. It is. And Curtis Remington, are you in Florida still? Hey, I got to tell a story really quick. He sent me a message the other day. I don't want you to think I'm blowing you off because you're another one I want to collaborate. I met him what did I meet you, like 5 years ago down in Florida through another friend of ours, a mutual friend who is now passed into the great beyond. But we had a lot of great times together. And, Curtis plays and he writes. And he sent me, goes, I want to collaborate and da-da-da. And then he came up with this song. Well, a couple of days before he called me, this is like last week, or, he messaged me, sent me a nice long message. And I was thinking, I go, you know what? I should write a song called Time Machine. I told a friend of mine that, like if we could just go back, if we could just erase the pain, the bad things in our life, if we could make up for the, Time Machine. And I'm thinking there must be a song out there called Time Machine, probably 50 of them at least. But I've never seen it. I've seen the movie. What was that movie? H.G. Wells. But, and he said, and then he texts me and he says, he goes, I got this song idea, Time Machine. And I go, oh my God, I just had this. So sometimes serendipity works, or whatever you want to call it, right? So things may not have gone my way. I may not have ended up with the perfect life, but I'm able to do this. And I've met a lot of great people. And I have beautiful people to the left of me on that column right there. Well, it's on the right of me, actually. And you know what? Like, I didn't expect to hear from Curtis tonight. I didn't expect to hear from Grant tonight. Jenna, definitely not. And, but she made me the nicest. Her and her husband made me this stone. That's what they do. They carve things, and they carved my son's name into it, like a year or two ago. And I still have it. It's beautiful. I'll never let that thing go. And, there are beautiful things in your life out there. So I that's how I used to do Facebook. Even if nobody was watching, something would just keep me talking. Like, I should be done by now. I should have been done 27 minutes ago. But it's about, even on my worst day, which is all the time. Like I said, this is my old wedding ring I turned into my son's initials. This was the Gift of Life people. They gave me this, his handprint, the night before he died. That's why I wear them. I'm not a hip hop artist. Okay. That's not why I do it. But it reminds me every day. I know they're there. You forget sometimes, like, you're wearing something. I never forget. This might as well weigh 100 pounds. It's around my neck. And so I try to remind myself why I'm still here. And I fight it every day. But good people with just a couple words can change your entire mood and your whole strategy and the purpose for a living. And that's your purpose. And if you want to come on, send me a message, send me a word, send me a title, send me a couple words like, the world on fire. My car got, I went to a car wash, anything, like fast cars, right? And, send it to me and we can put some beats together or some music together, That's for Jenna. I'm scratching. Okay, that's enough silliness. All right. Want to see what this looks like here? That's with the light on. I can't see. Bright light. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully you got some humor out of it. And I'm going to try to figure out how to make this bigger and better. If I don't, it's okay. Like I said, I could have made this private. But I know there's been a lot of people who haven't seen me for a while. And like I said, I'm really not trying to post on Facebook as much. And I'm sorry I'm rambling, but this is really a lot for me today. It's really a lot. I'm tired. I don't feel great. But I really want this idea to work. I want to add it to everybody else's idea. And I really want to make something happen before I leave this earth. I know that sounds dramatic, but to me, it isn't. I've done, like I said, when I was a firefighter, I almost drowned. I almost got hit by, fire. I mean, so I saw it, years ago. I mean, and it didn't scare me. Even when I had children, when I lived, I thought, what if I never see them again? Well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So that's how I feel now. And, you can live your life different. You may live to be 100, and I hope you are, and I hope you do. But I just want to make sure that you guys get to the positive place, and I hope you include me, and I hope I can include you, and we get together and collaborate and do some cool things. Alexis Barthlow. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. I haven't heard from you in a long time. Happy New Year to you, sweetheart. Tell Joel and everybody I said hello. And you know, may you live to see the dawn. Purple Rain. Remember that? Purple Rain. Wait, let me see. Can I still play that? Let me see. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can do it. Wait, oops. 1, 2, let's see. Wait, trying to remember all the keys. But anyway, sorry about that. Love you, old neighbor. You guys have a great night, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Be nice to each other. And I'm not kidding. Be nice. Go out, call somebody. Call somebody you got in a fight with. Say, you know, I called you an asshole last night, but you know, you can call me one back. Let's have a good night. Let's resolve the fight. And let's write some cool songs together. That song, Worst Friend, that kind of, it actually breaks my heart that I even wrote that song when I think about it, because you don't want that worst friend in your life. And every single person, even the guys at the gym, they go, you know, every single person is going to relate to this song, no matter who they are, because they had a worst friend, somebody they loved, somebody they trusted, somebody they did things with, some of the things they did for. Don't have a worst friend. If you can resolve it, you can fix it. I know it's hard, maybe even possible. Just try it. You feel me? Feel me? That's all I got. All right. Thank you. Oh, Christina, if you're there on the Facebook side, congratulations to your son who graduated. I am jealous because Dante isn't going to graduate. They're like that kid who played football that got hit. He was only a couple years older than my son. My son would have been playing football. So, yeah, it affected me. It did. I'm sorry, it did. So, sorry if I don't make any comments or likes on all your posts anymore, because I'm just not on it as much. And I really don't have a desire, but I do want to be on here for my music. So, but you are invited, you are included if you want to be. So God bless you. Enjoy your life. Don't complain about the weather. You know, as long as you got air out there where you're breathing, you're good, right? So enjoy tomorrow. I'm going to go help my buddy out at a hamburger joint tomorrow with sliders for a couple hours, Leslie, right? And I've never done that before, flipping burgers. But what the hell, why not? So, and my daughter's 13th birthday, Sophia. You know, if I was Jewish, I'd be having a bat mitzvah tomorrow. 13. She's 5'6", 5'7". She's tall. Her sister's 5'9.5". So Dante was taller than me. So have a great night. And I'm trying to find the end button. And did you guys have a good time? I hope so, maybe. All right. Send me some words, even if you're not a songwriter. Let's have some fun. I know people. I do. I really do. Hopefully this is good. All right. 11:33. Enjoy your night.